or what will people think? Like somebody else has told them there's a seed that was planted at some point in their life that was like, this is not enough. You're not enough. But in reality, it's maybe those people weren't enough for you, or maybe that circle wasn't good for you. I remember growing up, I mean, my voice is very distinct. I think we can say that. So growing up, I always thought like it was my voice, something was wrong with me. Like I had such a high voice, but now I embrace it. I'm like, well, when I'm 80, I'm gonna sound like I'm 25. But it's you have to learn to love those darker parts of you. But when I was younger, somebody planted that seed that like, oh, you sound like a baby, or I was gonna be treated like a baby. No one's gonna take you seriously. And then once I started doing things for myself and like breaking that stigma, I was able to kind of like put that in a corner.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this is an observable one that you and I see in therapy settings often, and as you were sharing, we have our own experiences with
Mm-hmm.
these things where adults who provide a narrative to a kid, who have constant shifting in narratives and developmental milestones to meet, and just a shaping of their understanding of the world that's constantly changing. If you're an adult who's had this happen to you, I would just say remember that those narratives that other adults gave to you when you were a kid aren't true about you. Um, you know what narratives are true about you, and in the ways that you struggle or experience distress, and that's between you, some would argue your higher power, and your therapist, and maybe some trusted friends. But it's like we can move towards letting go of some of those narratives. But you hit the nail on the head as far as like the way I view it too, of like shame. It like molds in and holds on to those narratives and those feelings, and we carry them with us and replay them until we. It's like what Freud says, like we replay these situations and emotions until we feel like we've mastered them,
Mm-hmm.
and we're never going to master them. They're always going to beat us up.
That's a good point, though, just in general, like how like we're never gonna master them. I think if you can apply that same concept to like when healing is not linear, so like you
Mm.
might feel like you're healed from a situation, a relationship, but like a traumatic event, but something might still trigger you, and that's okay too. And I think that's a whole part of the shame thing. It's, well, I should be over this by now. But I think it's really important to highlight that it's okay. It doesn't mean if it still comes up and it still kind of like triggers you at some point that you're not over it.